Chapter 6, Sensory Impairments, Hearing and Vision. We're going to zoom through this one too. Here we go. Deafness means hearing loss, so that you can't process language even with amplification devices. Hard of hearing means a loss that is not as severe as deafness, but it has an impact on your development. You can lose your hearing in a lot of ways. Look in your book about this. Warning signs of hearing loss: not turning your head when you hear sounds or your name, tugging on your ears, used to talk and respond and now doesn't, drops initial consonants, seems inattentive, looks confused, turns head side, one side to hear better. So these are a variety of ways that you can tell a child might have deafness or hearing loss. What's the impact? Obviously, they can't hear when they're given directions. They can't, it may preclude them from interacting with others. Obviously, there's going to be an impact on their language development. If you can't hear someone speaking, it's hard for you to figure out how to speak yourself. If you do have a hearing loss as a child, you will probably also have a language delay. And one effect is that parents and caregivers might stop talking if a child can't respond to them. So, language and cognitive development obviously go hand in hand. If you have little or no hearing, you tend to be developed cognitively behind your peers because you can't hear what people are saying. It's hard to learn the names for things. It's hard to learn how to follow directions if you can't hear those things. And obviously, if you can't hear, it's going to have an impact on your social development. If people are talking to you, you can't understand or you can't hear, it's going to be difficult to have a relationship with them. And of course, this will affect your family life as well. So, in your book, it goes into more detail about these different ways of communicating, speech language learning. So, this is when kids learn how to lip read, a cued speech system, which is sort of like a hybrid between lip reading and sign language, and then sign language, and then total communication, which combines speaking and sign. And it's totally up to a family. Some work better than others. Sometimes it depends on the amount of hearing loss a person has. If you learn nothing else in this class, you should know that with all delays, developmental disabilities, whatever, the earlier intervention starts, the better, because it makes sense, right? All of that brain development and learning happening in the first 5 years. If you have a delay or something that you need to make up for, you need to start with services and intervention as soon as possible. Language learning is super important because that's, I mean, if you couldn't hear me right now, you wouldn't be able to learn this stuff, right? So we obviously have ways of helping people who have hearing loss, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, if you are dealing with a child who has hearing delay, hearing loss, hearing delay, I don't think that's a thing, hearing loss or deafness, get down where the child can see you, sit close to the child, make eye contact, use short, simple sentences, and use concrete examples. So make the speech that you are doing with the child as impactful as possible. There are a variety of different assistive technologies that you can use. So hearing aids or amplification devices, a receiver, and the teacher wears a microphone. You've probably seen that one a lot. Alerting devices. Okay, so that's hearing loss. Now we'll talk about vision. Blindness is severe enough that you can't read print. Low vision is when a child has a hard time reading or seeing, but it's not technically blindness. And then total blindness is you can't see anything at all. Most children who are blind can see some light and shadows. A variety of vision problems that children can suffer from. And then some muscular abnormalities. Strabismus is lazy eye, right? You see a lot of that with kids, and it's very treatable. So, what are some vision problems that you can identify? How can you identify vision problems? If you have an infant who is not watching things, whose eyes aren't going from place to place to see what's going on, that may be a um, indication that there's a vision problem. Vision problems are sometimes hard until children start to read, because they don't have to be looking for anything specific. There are some tests for younger children that you can do. And really, kids often don't know. I mean, you don't know you're blind unless you can see what you're missing. So it's hard sometimes to diagnose. Warning signs: rubbing eyes, closing one eye, squinting, right? Um, Saying, I can't see. Um, yeah. The impact of vision problems, the effect on language development. You can't see the things that people are talking about, right? Um, and then effects on cognitive development. If you can't see it, it's going to be hard to learn what it is. And then there's motor development issues. It's hard to walk if you can't see where you're going, and it's hard to understand your body in space if you can't see the things around you. Children who have vision impairments or are blind tend to be quiet and passive because you have to sort of be led around. You need someone to guide you. So you have to pay attention to that. And you're not out there being, independent. Um, and it's hard to participate in those activities that children with typical vision are doing. And then, of course, there are effects on the family. A family who has a child with vision impairments or blindness has to be much more involved, right? Showing that child how to do things, doing things for that child. Um, and then it can affect a child who has low vision or vision impairment, can affect the social interaction between caregivers because they're not looking at the same things. Okay, early intervention programs, helping children understand their environment and the mobility that they have will help them be more independent. And that independence goes a long way. So, when you're teaching children with vision loss, you need to talk very concretely about things. You need to describe things, and you need to use a rich vocabulary. Use words for everything, be specific, let the children discover through touch, give them lots of different textures and feelings and things, and then make use of what vision they do have. So, write things large so that they can see them. Okay, that's chapter 6.